Well, that's 3 for 3 for the Philadelphia 76ers on this road trip. And it's very, very, very nice to have an easy one like we had tonight against the Portland Trailblazers. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame show on a now Tuesday night, December 31st. It's New Year's Eve. What's going on, everybody? Welcome again, presented by Bet365. And Bet365 came through for me in the end. Paul George did. We'll get to that a little bit later. But download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It is never ordinary at Bet365. With Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck, I'm Devon Giddens. Bree is producing all of you back with us, and hopefully some new faces in there as well as we hang out with you following a very, very comfortable win over these Portland Trailblazers. And Kyle, this was a familiar feeling. This is a familiar feeling that we haven't really had all season long. I mean, it was tied at the end of the first, but they had a lead at the half. They had a lead after three. They had their runs by Portland to try to push them a little bit. But in the end, a dominating performance from Joel Embiid. Great all-around team play from the supporting cast. Good bench play from Guerschon Yabusele. Tyrese Maxey just doing Tyrese Maxey stuff. And oh, by the way, Kelly Oubre is first team all defense. And that's what happened tonight in this game.
Crazy.
So your thoughts, man. A comfortable win that, again, we've been waiting for this one.
Yes. This felt like, honestly, this was the game that felt most like last December when Joel was just absolutely destroying teams, scoring 30-plus points, oftentimes in just three quarters. And certainly he got a little bit of his work done in the start of the fourth quarter tonight. But with Joel as the center of the universe and playing well and pairing well with Maxey, getting the contributions from just a couple guys around them, that was enough, right? Like coming into this game, we were pretty clear-eyed. Joel is the best player on the floor. Tyrese is second best player on the floor, or, vice versa given the night. But they were more talented, and they made Portland feel that, right? Like there were just times when Portland had no ability to stop them. And then on the other end of the floor, they turned them over constantly. They just could not get their footing for long periods of that game. And this was all in spite of Paul George basically being a non-factor for 3.5 quarters, right? Like the first half, he barely even played. He checks out, doesn't play the rest of the first half after his third foul. Joel and Tyrese and Guerschon Yabusele and Kelly Oubre basically carry you. And the game was never really in doubt from, I would say like midway through the second quarter onward. And I think what I would say, if we're trying to take any big picture takeaways, I don't see the same Joel Embiid, right? Like I see things that are happening now that I do think are products of his physical limitations, where he's getting blocked on some jump shots more. He's not creating as much separation in some moments. And there are some issues here and there. But you're reminded that this guy just has so many outs with his offensive game, where like he spends portions of this game just being like, I'll just be Dirk Nowitzki from the mid post, right? And hit like one-legged turnarounds and put him up so soft on the rim that it's taken a huge Kawhi Leonard-sized bounce, hitting the backboard and then falling in nice and gently. And then he's combining with Tyrese Maxey in pick and rolls. They're trapping Maxey, and he's going right down Main Street for a dunk. He had a beautiful short roll pass to Guerschon Yabusele in the corner for an open three. Gets fouled on another one. Like the whole offensive package was on display for him tonight. And while I do think, we all wish that he still had the lift that he used to have, that he had the explosiveness that he used to have, he can still be a dominant, impactful player, is the big takeaway watching him now. And when he's this guy, when he's this version of Joel Embiid, even, if it's 10, 20%, whatever you want to say, from the absolute apex Embiid, they can be a really good basketball team. This is the type of performance we expected to see against teams like Portland. And now it's all starting to come together, man. as Derek said earlier on the pregame show, 3 months of preseason appear to be over. It's time for some real basketball, baby.
Yeah. So this was part of the reason why when we were talking about Embiid and aging, I always never really worried too much about his offensive game because the skill level is just so absurd, and his ability to add to that skill level he does that so effortlessly that he will find a way to remain productive. I always worried a little more about his defense taking a step back before his offense. And certainly I don't want to say that having to sort of like deal with the new reality maybe happened a little quicker because injuries forced it. But he's going to find a way. And I think when you see if the limitations of his knee injuries, it comes a lot more from the explosiveness and the ability to elevate than it does moving laterally, which quite frankly I would rather live with because defensively I think he needs that lateral mobility a little more. He's still going to alter shots given his size and timing. I need him to be able to hang on the perimeter when the situation calls for it. And I've been and even today, I thought he moved pretty good in terms of getting to his spots. I think you're seeing a lot more of the pump fake and drive attempts than you were in his first couple of games back. That indicates he is getting a little more confidence in that knee. And every time he hits the floor, I'm not having a panic attack, which is just great for my own mental well-being, but also great for, he's sort of seems like and I'm knocking on every piece of wood on my desk right now, but he seems like he's becoming a little more like a regular basketball player rather than somebody that we're treating with complete bubble wrap. And it was very much, like Kyle sort of alluded to, it was very much like a pre-injury Joel Embiid game where you come out and he annoys you a little bit in the first quarter because it seems like defense is going at half speed and he's not really, Kyle mentioned before the game this was going to be a great test for him because, Portland, the only thing they can really do is try to drive and drive and drive, and he would be met at the rim. And it didn't really seem like he was all that interested in trying to alter shots the way that we know that he can. And then midway through the second quarter, he goes, screw these guys. Like I am too good to lose to this Portland Trailblazers team. And he turns it on and he dominates. And the Sixers, for the most part, the entire second half hold a double-digit lead. I think they might have cut it to 8 at one point there in the third quarter, but they held a double-digit lead for the most of the way. And it was a relatively easy, relatively stress-free game. And it was, he seems like he is turning into more and more of a normal basketball player. And I get nervous that I say that because it's a hope that kills you, but he is rounding into form.
Of all the things that I had written in my notes from what he did, Embiid specifically, the one thing that I absolutely put in there that I wanted to highlight was, as both of you were talking, the Joel Embiid dunk. And we haven't seen him.
Baby.
We've talked about him not elevating enough to dunk. And it wasn't the 1 foot, it was the 2 foot dunk. And a lot of that was also probably the emotion that was into the game because of how well they were playing. The ball was moving. Everybody was touching the rock. He was feeling good and doing all that. But I most certainly wanted to highlight that point of what you're saying, because we're seeing the footwork get into the basket, pivot, flip shot, whether it's with the left or right or the scoop, or however he decides to go. But on that particular one, again, I think it was a combination of looking like his old self, but also just feeling good about what the game was playing itself out to be, which allowed him to have that emotion, have that energy to get out there and go up there off of 2 feet and dunk and then hang on the rim. And when they played the replay, I was watching, let me see how he lands. And he landed on both feet. He didn't favor it. He didn't do any of that. He just got down and ran back the other way. So a minor thing, but as we have been waiting for him to get back in there and play consistently and worried about that knee and that knee brace, I'm sure we'll have our concerns in some of these other games as we head to 2025 and the rest of the schedule that they have in which he will play in. But to see that tonight and see the joy in which he was playing with and how he was just playing smart out there on the floor, the rebounding, as we've talked about that, where he can't get that lift, but he was still out there rebounding. Yeah, 7 rebounds, I think, in the first half. And that was an encouraging sign to see from him. In the end, he didn't end up with many because of the mere fact that I think he had 9. But to see those two small things for me, follow and couple with everything that both of you said about his play, it was great to see a dominating performance and relatively easy from the Joel Embiid that we're accustomed to seeing.
And look, I think you're starting to see, well, not starting to see, you already saw last week, and I think you saw again tonight, when Maxey gets to play with Joel and a version of Joel that's playing well, the two of them can just basically take turns destroying teams and getting quality looks, right? Like that first quarter, Joel was off the pace, as we said, and, was trying to find his footing and his touch and all that. But he set 2 or 3 just monster screens, and Tyrese is just walking into pull-up threes that are, shots that he might have missed earlier in the year, but because he's gotten some momentum behind him, because he's feeling himself a little bit, he's stepping into it and he's hitting those shots. And then as the game wears on and Portland reacts to that, they send 2 on the ball. They try to trap, they try to play higher, and they're forcing it to Joel. And then Joel gets to play, 4 on 3, right? And that's a situation that defenses do not ever want to be in. Now, granted, against a better team, a better defensive team, the rotations are crisper. You're forcing Joel to pass more. Ball's going to move a little bit more. But we can worry about that when they play, teams like the Celtics, teams like the Knicks, teams like whoever at the top of the East, top of the West. And so to see Maxey be the guy early, it goes to Joel. Joel's the dominant guy. But then you still find opportunities where, hey, Joel's doubled. Easy kick out to Tyrese for an open 3, or he's swinging the ball around. And they had, in this last week, not just tonight, in the last week, they have probably had, of their 10 best offensive possessions of the season, like 8 or 9 of them, right? Like the last, between a couple in the Spurs game, they had one at the end of the game tonight where Maxey takes that corner 3 after the skip pass and the rotations. They had some in the Boston game. Like, all of a sudden, they look like a real NBA offense. And I think when you put that on top of what's already a solid defensive base, like, think about this. We've been giving so much credit to Paul George, and he has deserved it for his defensive contributions. He was a non-entity for so much of this game, and Kelly Oubre just decided, I'm going to go get 8 steals, right? And they're still going to keep turning them over, and they're going to get out in transition, and they're going to be a dominant defensive team for stretches of that game without one of the guys who's been one of their best defensive pieces. So it's the mark of a really good team, right? Is one guy steps up, opponent reacts to that. Now it's somebody else's turn, and then it's somebody else's turn, and then it's somebody else's turn. It just feels like that's coming naturally right now. And we haven't even gotten to Guerschon Yabusele, who had the moment of the night by a considerable margin too.
Moment of the night. That was a moment of the season. That was
for sure.
And he's already had one of these before too. Like, that was wild. That was absolutely wild. But we'll get to that, because honestly, he had an entire first half that was worth celebrating. He was great. I mean, it is a little bit where, like, Paul can have this night, and I'm sure we'll get into it and what you read into it, because we talked before the game about how you can get him going, and next thing you know, he's got 3 fouls in 8 minutes, and he's barely on the court and barely touching the ball. That is certainly not how you're going to get him going. But it is certainly at a spot where they have enough contributors right now, even with McCain out, even with one of your big 4 out. They have enough contributors, and they're starting to find, their rhythm back. Maxey has so much more confidence, so much more space. That 2-man games there. You can have an off night from someone like Paul, who's had a few of them now. But because you're getting contributions from Kelly, from Guerschon, and obviously, the 2 big guys scoring what they combined for 60 points here in this one, you can roll pretty easily. And they played a really bad team that's really bad defensively and gave you a lot of extra possessions because they're young and just turn the ball over seemingly once every third time down the floor. But it is a workmanlike win. Like, I think all of us expected them to win. They took care of business in a way that they had to. They've had some good wins over really good teams here of late as well. So, I don't want to talk too much about the quality of competition, because quite frankly, if you're going to win a lot of games in the NBA, you're going to have to just beat bad teams and take teams that, might have youth and might have energy and just beat them down with talent. And the Sixers did that tonight, last night.
They've done this before where they've beaten up on these bad teams. The difference was their record was so much different. So right now, these are just as important because they need to, as we've been talking about, continue to collect these wins. Right now, the Sixers are, in terms of games back, they're tied with the Detroit Pistons right now for the games back of the first spot, of course, in the Eastern Conference. That doesn't matter. It's about them starting to get back into that play-in situation in that conversation and making their way up. That's 4 in a row for the Sixers. They're 3 for 3 on the road
they're
trip.
Only 8 losses back of the Boston Celtics. Keep hope alive, Devon.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. That's 4 in a row. 3 for 3 on this road trip with 3 more to go. And that is on Wednesday, or actually on New Year's Day when they take on the Sacramento Kings, front end of the back-to-back. And then the Golden State Warriors the second night. But first things first, they pick up this win tonight. They are now 13-17 on the season and looking pretty good, like the normal Philadelphia 76ers that we're accustomed to. Guerschon Yabusele, Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey. We'll talk about all of them on the other side as we break this one down. Sixers win 125-103, blowout fashion. This post-game show is presented by Bet365.
All right, first up, we want to tell you about Game Time. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. When you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Here are some of the other features that make Game Time so great to use. There is, of course, that Game Time Picks, which I just mentioned. It's curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have all-in pricing, so when you toggle this feature, it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. There is a low price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a seat in the same section and row for less. Then there's Game Time ticket coverage, so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Devon, what time is it?
Game time.
Whoa. That is my.
Oh my God! That is
my
time.
1 a.m.
I'm gonna send the Game Time goons to your house.
It's 1 a.m.
Okay. It's 1 a.m. for everybody. That's the worst. That is the worst fake enthusiasm I've ever heard in my life.
Has nothing to do with you, Game Time. You're incredible. It's just 1 a.m.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I got to tell you guys about Bet365, our presenting sponsor for our post-game show here on the late night, 1 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve, and the 76ers pick up a victory. And while they pick up the victory, you can also make some wagers in doing so. And hopefully you did that pregame with me as I laid out the few bets that I had. Paul George, we had to sweat a little bit because he was in foul trouble, but over 5.5 rebounds. He did pick up the 6 boards, and you add that with the Caleb Martin under 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He had 1 board, 2 assists, and 7 points. That's 10. We win, everybody. Happy New Year. Hopefully you did that with us at Bet365. They have over 90 million users worldwide. Early payout offers across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball, and they have pioneered live in-game betting as well. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 using the code PHLY365 to sign up. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and get $150 in bonus bets. The bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. And as I mentioned, those early payouts, if your team goes up by 20 points, like the Philadelphia basketball team did, an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. And again, download the app, use code PHLY when you sign up. 100% parlay boost. Double your winnings on parlays with Bet365, 100% parlay boost. Download the app, use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Get 150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Sixers win. It's presented by Bet365. Jared McCain has been out. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Guerschon Yabusele steps up. Does that make this
Jared
still
McCain,
a big four?
How are we bringing Jared McCain into this one? Jeez, I was like, what's happening here?
I wanted to know if now he takes the spot of the big four.
Well, I mean, look, if he plays like
he is a four.
he is, and he's big too. He's big as well. No, he's definitely part of the big four. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. He is part of the big four. All right. Well,
let's go over because if there's one thing that's gonna be fired up, maybe I should redo that game time read because this will get me going. Talking about Guerschon is a caffeination for your soul. Anyway, he had that poster on Denny, which was just absolutely incredible for a guy who is so big. The way he can elevate when he gets ahead of steam is really, and obviously that's what I think drew everyone to him in the Olympics with that dunk over LeBron. But having another one of those in transition is just fantastic. He gave a too small taunt to 7'2" Klingon. Insane. I'd never seen a 6'8" guy try to tell a 7'2" guy that he's too small. But in terms of his strength, he is too small because, quite frankly, Guerschon just has more mass and strength than almost anyone he's going to go against. A great bounce pass to a cutting Kelly Oubre, which was fantastic on both ends. But it was a really nice pass. We've talked about Yabu's passing a lot here for the first couple of months over the season. And he hit a couple of big corner threes as well. I think he had 15 of his 16 in the first half. He was fantastic.
Yabu Hive is here, baby. Yabu Hive is here. We were very high on this guy coming into the year. We had the conversations even before the season started. Should he start? What does his role look like? A lot of debates about it. I just think he's the perfect role player, right? He's the type of role player you need on every single successful team. Not just because he's got a versatile skill set, right? And that helps. He's played 5, he's played 4. He spaces the floor. He's a secondary playmaker. He can dunk on people. You can throw it to him in the post, and he's hitting 7'2", 7'3" guys with a too small afterward. He's blocking Wemby. He's doing this. He's doing that. But he's also, there's something about the way he plays and maybe about his story that I think endears him to his teammates, that like he's an energy setting player, right? So that dunk, when you look at, as Derek said in our Discord tonight, when you get that type of reaction out of Kyle Lowry, who has seen a lot in the NBA and at the college level, like in his basketball journey, he's seen a lot of things happen on a basketball court. And that dude went ballistic to the point that he got one of the worst texts in the world, the ultimate ball don't lie situation played out. That was like, if there is such a thing as the basketball gods, they smiled upon Yabu and Kyle Lowry. But like, so that play was more than just a dunk, right? It inspires the team. It helps get them on a run, whatever. Then in the second half, after, he gets some shots to go down, he has a huge first half. He's diving on the floor for loose balls, sending them the other way, and he's helping turn a game that was, well, it wasn't close. It's still kind of, contested. Portland could have made a run had they been able to hit the broad side of a barn or start making shots at some point. Yabu constantly gets the most out of what he has, and he's the sort of player that comes in the game and pretty consistently changes the game in a positive way. It doesn't always look the same, right? Sometimes it's an energy play. Sometimes it's a few shots. Sometimes it's something different. But I just think you see so much good happen just because he's out there and around these other guys. And I've been harping on this to our diehards at PHLY who are really locked in on they're not going to be able to keep them. They can't afford them. And like Derek has laid out the math, right? And the salary cap restrictions that they have to deal with to basically say, yeah, it's probably unlikely for the Sixers to bring him back this summer. I choose to focus on the other side of it, which is they got this guy coming off an Olympic run, but was very unproven at the NBA level. His last NBA experience looked out of his depth, couldn't shoot. And on a minimum deal, He's one of the stories of the season, not just here, but in the NBA. And I think when you give that type of guy an opportunity and he runs with it like he does, coming off of last year where Kelly Oubre, he's at basically the end of his NBA rope, right? He's a guy who went from making good money, $10 million, $15 million, $20 million to a minimum contract at the end of the summer, who then gets another better deal this year. And Kelly has an amazing game tonight that we'll talk about at some length later. Yabu is having that type of season this year. This becomes a domino effect for an organization where you can go to guys who are, maybe they've struggled, maybe they haven't found the right place, and say, not only can we find you a role, we can get the best out of you. We can give you the opportunity to go from, it's what, Brett Brown used to harp on this a lot. We give you an opportunity and you can go make yourself a ton of money. It doesn't have to be here. It can be elsewhere. You want to be that type of organization in the NBA. So it would be a bummer to lose Yabu, right? Like, he's become a fan favorite. He's really fun to watch. He's also a good guy on top of all this. Like, Derek and I have dealt with him a good bit, and he's just seems like he's a joy to have around in the locker room as well. But it should be a point of pride for the organization that this guy has been able to come in and have such a huge impact on the season, and might be able to leverage that into, having this is a life-changing year for him. That helps you long-term, no matter what happens with Yabu from, this season onward.
Yeah. No, look, I would like to get on Kyle for getting that technical, but quite frankly, when he was helping Dr. Naismith invent the game, I'm sure he didn't expect to see a 6'8" guy like that run the floor. So I will give him a little bit of leeway on that. No, look, we will have postseason podcasts talk about the cap mechanics and the chances that some team offers Yabu a contract the Sixers just simply will not be able to match. And it's not even like not be able to, like they won't want to. Like, literally, there will be confines in this CBA where if other teams go over it, the Sixers just don't have a chance, and Yabu would have to take less money to come back. We will get into that. But the contract is what it is. And I've already seen some people, well, why didn't the Sixers try to assign him to longer? Because it makes no sense for Yabusele to take a multi-year deal at the minimum. The whole point was to come here, get a chance to prove it, and get that next contract. So the contract is what it is. You know what it is. You know the cap limitations of it. There are two courses that will play out. Either he plays poorly and you have a chance to bring him back, or he plays well and you risk losing him. I know which of those two outcomes I would prefer, especially for a team that is clawing its way back into a playoff run. You want, and especially because Andre Drummond has been, you want him playing as well as he possibly can because you need him for any kind of a playoff run. So you play him now. Maybe that builds up some goodwill and you can talk him into getting a 1+1, because if you can do that, then all of a sudden you have early bird rights on him. It becomes a lot more manageable down the line. Maybe it doesn't and he walks, and this was just a way for him to build up his brand and help you win at the same time. Either way, it's better than the alternative.
If he leaves, which we'll talk about in the offseason, he has found himself forever fans with the 76er fan base for what he has done and most likely what he will continue to do as long as he's in a Sixers uniform. So right there. The funny thing is, knowing what his NBA career is, what his contract situation is, I was still in that first half, guys, like, damn, how can he be rewarded? Can he play on the rookie sophomore? you know what I'm saying? Just because
find some way to reward this guy.
Right.
Hey, wait, honestly, you could make a case. I know he's like, it would be a ridiculous thing to do. Right, you could make the most improved player case. He was out of the league.
Very true.
He was out of the league.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a nonsense award anyway, so go for it. I'm behind
they're
it.
giving it to guys who are like number one overall picks, and like it's like, come on, like I don't know, man. Like, I don't think that'd be the craziest thing to do. Now that's never going to happen, right? They'll give it to like Kate Cunningham or some guy like that, like some Ascent or Paolo or whoever. Like, anyway. I agree with you, Devon. I don't know if we need to do like some kind of organize like a write-in campaign for
All-Star Weekend. Put them in a dunk contest. Just put somebody in front of them and let them dunk over them. just so he can be recognized overall. But no, the great thing about it, as you guys both laid it out, is his stat line looks different every game, but he still finds a way to impact it somehow, some way where we're talking about him afterwards. It's probably only been 2-3 games where we've all come together and say, hey, he didn't play well tonight. And maybe it was just the shooting, or he got a little tired, because he has played in every basketball game and playing the 4 and the 5 and playing all these different types of minutes. But the guy has just been a phenomenal pickup, a big-time addition to the Sixers from this offseason, and he had a fantastic game. That 15 in the first half, the threes, the dunks, the footwork, even over clinging, he's the footwork, and then putting his shoulder in some other dudes that are just putting it right into their chest and saying, these guys, they got nothing. He was feeling it. He was feeling himself tonight for what he was able to do on the offensive end. And as you said, when the points aren't there in the second half because of what he did, matching it from the first, he's diving on the floor. He's getting loose balls. He's not playing with the basketball. He's picking it up. He's looking for an outlet guy to get them out in transition so they can take advantage of an odd man situation on the other end. He's just been phenomenal. And if he can keep this up, he's going to get a lot of looks this offseason from some teams with cap space to give him an opportunity to get a long-term deal. So we'll see how all that plays out when it's time for us to do that. But as they continue to win these games, how important is he to the 76ers? I think we saw the value of that again tonight, just like we have in the previous games that we've seen him play with this basketball team. When we come back, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre also had big games in this one, as well as the Sixers win their 4th in a row. We'll talk about it when we get back right here on the Bet365 PHLY Sixers postgame show. All right, going into the new year, everybody, you got to be straight. You got to be right. Can't have all these breakdowns and these injuries. And Rothman Orthopedics, though, if you do have some things that you need to get checked out, they have you covered. Are your joints aching, hands cramping, maybe your back is a little bit out of whack? Well, Rothman Orthopedics, they practice in specialized care that has been their passion for over 50 years. The mission, high quality, compassionate, and affordable care that's rooted in research, and the research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on the specialties of hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part in your backyard, right there in your backyard, so you can cross over the defense once again in the year 2025. Rothman proudly serves dozens of communities across Pennsylvania and New Jersey with 30+ convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers as well. It's not just the volume of the 255,000 of new patients and consults that Rothman is most proud of, but instead it's their commitment to improving each of their patients' lives through service and care. So if you need help, if you're looking for some help, or maybe a loved one that got a little banged up over the holiday playing some spirited football outside because the weather was cooperating, maybe going to the basketball court, whatever you were doing, Rothman Orthopedics, they have you covered. They specialize in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
And guys, I know it might be 1:22 in the morning in Philadelphia and on the East Coast right now, but we have Shady Rays to talk about. Yes, that's right, guys. Our good friends from Shady Rays are here, and they are ready to help you get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames, crystal clear optics that make them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. I wear my Shady Rays all the dang time. I just had them on in the car today when I was driving to run some errands ahead of the start of 2025. But you can wear them wherever you want, right? All winter long, all summer long. You have to face the sun in some capacity. Sunglasses are an all season, all the time thing that you need, and Shady Rays always has your back. And plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear, every pair backed by lost or broken replacements, and it's no risk shopping when you deal with Shady Rays. You can return them worry-free within 30 days if you don't love your shades or you want to exchange them for a new pair. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. What a great deal. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. We do have some super chats, fellas, so I'll try to squeeze these in as well. Oh, Ash. Ash is back, folks. He's here as promised. Ash is back, and he's throwing down some cash for us here going into the year 2025. We appreciate it. Ash, let me get in early. Since Embiid returned from his facial injury, he has completed 4 games. Joel is putting up 32.5 points per game in 33 minutes. 76ers are 4-0, and he is still rounding into top form. Hashtag upside. Thank you,
So
Ash.
he's almost back to that point per minute wilt rate.
Again. And in the 30s, right? Man, I mean, just an amazing guy. And when he has it going, as Kyle, you said it, when you got the game started, he's doing these weird little things that you're like, come on, Joel, stop. And then he just does the Joel thing where he turns that around and goes the way he does and finish it. Overall, just to everybody, 37 at 13 free throw attempts where he made 12 of those. He had 9 boards, 3 assists, and 12 for 21 from the floor in 35 minutes and 38 seconds. And he did all that work by not having to really do any work in the fourth quarter at all, because he played in the fourth quarter exactly 5 minutes and 19 seconds, 8 points, 4 of which were from the free throw line. So, Derek, you said he's back to the Wilt numbers.
Yeah, for 4 games. It is look, he's moving better. He's back in a better rhythm than I would have expected. When he came back initially, I had no idea what to expect. You know, he came back, he played those 3 games, and he missed like 2 weeks. And I think we all took, even if it was subconsciously, a little doom and gloom. Not because he couldn't get back, but because you had no expectation that he would. You had no idea what to expect going forward. And he is now, even if he's only maybe 90% physically, he is starting to look like Joel Embiid, the kind of guy who completely changes the complexion of the team. And I think in the back of our mind, we're all still cognizant of the fact that that could change at any time. He could be out of the lineup. Something could happen with the knee. Something could happen with a new body part, because it's the Sixers, and bad stuff tends to happen in Philadelphia. But we are starting to see, some of that doom and gloom for the team. It really is just, is Joel Embiid healthy? If the answer is yes, they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has been the story of the franchise for Joel's entire tenure, right? And it didn't look like that would be the case when he first came back, right? And we go through the normal, we need to make one of those, the graph, not a graph, the pictures that's like the arrows in a circle. It's like Joel Embiid returns, and it says something like, oh my God, he's never going to be good again. 3 games later, wow, he's the best player in the world. Wow, the Sixers are back. Joel gets hurt. It's over. Like, it's just one of those type of things. And we're going through it again. And the hope has to be, however they manage him, however they're dealing with this season, whatever changes he might make to his game, that they're able to properly manage this season to get him to mid-April, early May, mid-May, and so on, in one piece, healthy, and able to go after it the way they need him to in order to win a title. Because there has been no doubt, even the people who are critics, detractors, non-believers in Joel, all those people would tell you, I mean, he's one of the most gifted basketball players in the league, and frankly, one of the most talented basketball players ever. It's just been, one reason or another. Sometimes it's him, sometimes it's his body failing, sometimes it's his teammates that he hasn't gotten it done. But generally, when this guy plays, they win games, and they win a lot of them, and he puts up big numbers. And the co-stars also look good next to him. They look better than they do without him. Like, he is the way I look at it, right? I think Tyrese Maxey is a ceiling raiser. He's somebody that he can make a good team even better. I think Paul George is somewhat of a floor setter, where he's a guy that he came back in the lineup and he was helping them with the defense. And I think I want to say they're like 10-9, 11-9 with Paul in the lineup now, something like that, where you can hold down the fort if you have Paul George. Joel Embiid does both of those things. He helps set your floor because he's a hub for the offense. He's an anchor for your defense. And when he's at his best, there are times when teams just have nothing they can do to stop him, right? Like tonight, Portland played some decent defense on him at times where we're talking about, hey, these are the limitations he might have now with his knee and his explosion and guys blocking his shots. But also he's then hitting 18-foot turnaround jumpers like he's Dirk Nowitzki. And it's like, what do you do against that guy? And then he goes down the floor and he dunks on a pick and roll play. And then he's making a short roll pass. And it's like, he just has everything. When it all comes together, it's just breathtaking to watch this guy. And so that's why so much time and energy and effort and conversation happens. And the subject is just, how do you get this guy in one piece to April? Because it's really like, as long as your record's good enough to not be in just abysmal seeding position, that's the thing that matters. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you have him, other things will be solved around him. He will figure it out. He already has the baseline chemistry with Maxey. He's an incredible basketball player. And I wish we weren't so deep in with like the second round being the barrier, right? Where there was some sort of institutional belief that is not there so that people can enjoy this more as it's happening. But that's one of the biggest reasons I hope they can finally go on a run, because you don't get guys like this playing for a team that you watch or you root for or you cover that often. And when it's over, like there might be an extended period of time where it's just, and this is not disrespect to this guy, but where it's like Andre Iguodala is the best player, like that level of player where you'll be okay. You can put a good team on the floor, a professional product, but you don't have a guy like this. So I hope people are cognizant of what they're seeing and what they have. And I hope that the Sixers are able to leverage that, because once he's gone, it's going to get a lot tougher to win at a high level.
You are a contender. Whenever they say the Sixers are a contender, it's because of him. Everybody else adds their piece to the puzzle, but he is the top of that part that makes you a contender. And with all of that on Joel Embiid, Bree, let's just give everybody the player of the game. No surprise. I mean, Yabusele was great, but this guy was this guy again. And it's important. Everything that Ash just laid out with the 4 games, 32 and a half and 33 minutes.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Hold on. The funniest part about that was the graphic going away and the freeze frame on Devon's face was just.
Oh,
there you go.
And I didn't even go anywhere. I could hear everything you guys said. I don't even know what happened. I was just reading.
What in the world?
It's 1:30 in the morning. There you go. I didn't even do anything. But great performance.
Devon's internet decided to reset. You know what's funny? My previous apartment that I lived at before we moved here, we had this weird thing that would happen at basically this time every night. The only reason I know is because I'm a night owl. The internet would completely shut off. And I had Comcast come out 3 different times. This is part of why I hate Comcast. Comcast came out like 3 different times and gaslit me and was like, no, there's no problem. I don't know what you're talking about. And finally a guy came out and was like, oh yeah, there's an obvious problem. And he fixed it in like 5 minutes. And finally, if I didn't podcast at that time, but I'm getting some gaming in at 1:30 in the morning from time to time. Finally, I could do that without being interrupted. So I hope that's not what you were doing.
Maybe that's what that was, because I don't know. I'm like, did I say something bad? But no, but he's our player of the game, presented by no one. All right.
I wonder how bad of a thing you would have to say for Bree to just like dump you midstream.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that you said anything bad, but it would be really funny.
I think she saw you infringing on her pink beanie corner and said, get out of here, buddy. Get that bozo off the screen.
Good call. Cannoli just following up on the Yabusele conversation that we did just have, but to read the super chat, Holy Cannoli says, if we get rid of Drummond, can we keep Yabu? Arguably, he's been better at the backup than Drummond. No effect on being able to keep him. Is the question. So Cannoli,
it's not arguable that he's been better. He is Yabusele.
Yeah, not even close.
Been better. The short answer is no. The longer answer is not really. So if you're talking about like right now, the limitations are, first of all, Yabusele would not be a restricted free agent next summer. He'd be unrestricted. And the Sixers would be limited to having to use an exception because they don't have bird rights. Right now, that exception would be the taxpayer mid-level, which is right around $5.5 million. Really what you need is be able to clear enough space to be able to offer the full mid-level and still remain under the apron threshold. That would require more than just moving Drummond. And quite frankly, I just don't think Daryl would want to do that, because if you sign someone with more than the taxpayer mid-level, you then become hard capped at the apron. I don't think he's going to want to do that, just knowing how he's operated in the past. Realistically, I think it's going to be the taxpayer mid-level, which again is only a starting salary of like $5.5 million and is very, very limited.
All right.
That was the absolute quickest I could try to explain a pretty complex problem.
That's right. Jada Jungle with our final super chat here. Eyes heavy all around. Appreciate you guys staying up. Make the Sixers experience that much better. Well, we have 2 more of these. So we hope that you're there with us, Jay, on Wednesday and Thursday for the back-to-back that they do have, Sacramento and Golden State. Saturday is a game in Brooklyn. That's a 6 p.m. game on Saturday. So shouldn't have to be up too late for that one. But we appreciate you, Jay.
I also just want to say, first of all, you're right. The eyes are heavy. I'm not going to dye it. I'm
wide awake, brother. I told Jay in the chat, I'm just sick. I feel like crap. It's not about
That's
being
great.
tired.
Congratulations. This isn't about you right now, Kyle. But I also want to say a shout out to the 328 people that are currently watching a Sixers stream at 1:35 in the morning. That's incredible, and we appreciate each and every one of you.
Give them the sound effect clap there, Derek. Make sure they get the, give them that.
Guy has a soundboard and never uses it. Jeez.
It's 1:37 in the morning, Kyle. I'm not at the top of my game.
Soundboard doesn't stop working after 1 in the morning. I don't know.
All right. Can we also shout out Denny Avdia, fans that we are of him. Great double-double, 17 points. 10 turnovers tonight for the Portland Trailblazers. 7 rebounds as well, but the 10 turnovers stand out. Kelly Oubre with a few of those steals from him. So good player, but that was funny to see that overall.
Yeah. No, very good player, but he should be a 4th option, maybe a 3rd option on a good night, not what he's being asked to do right now. He's way overtaxed as a creator. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Tyrese Maxey, ho-hum, 23 points, 7 of 13, 3 for 6, 6 free throws, 4 turnovers on the night. But Kyle, you said it yourself on social media of how he had 23, and it was like a very calm 23 overall. And it doesn't really state the type of game that he had and the impact that he had on this basketball game in this win.
Sorry, I was typing something. We're talking about Maxey?
Yeah. Maxey, because of how you pointed out that even with 23, the 23 was great, but it just doesn't jump out the way that you felt he impacted the game tonight in a positive way.
Yeah, and it was most of what I said earlier, right? It was the fact that he was the guy who had it going early, but then, 3/4 of the way, even further into the game, he's 6 of 10 and is not really hunting his shot. It was Joel's got it rolling. Joel's got good matchups. We're finding him in the middle of the floor against, there were possessions where they're somehow getting like Tumani Kamara or Denny on Joel's hip. And it's like, they just have no chance. Right. And if you have good doubles, which Portland didn't, or you have really smart defenders on the weak side, which Portland doesn't, then maybe you can get away with that. But that's what I want to see from Maxey as a point guard, right? As the guy who's ostensibly running the offense. It's not about, Maxey had 12 assists and that means he had a good game as a point guard. Sometimes it's about, all right, that guy's got the mismatch. We just need to isolate him and let him go to work, right? Like sometimes that's all it is. Running the team does not mean you're John Stockton getting 15 assists to Karl Malone on the same pick and roll play every single time down the floor. And so I like how he managed the game. He still ended up in the second half having a big shot or two that helped really put this game away and ultimately get Joel some rest on the sideline. And it's a type of game that he frankly he didn't have the luxury to be able to have in the middle of this or earlier in the season, right? Where he's tasked with, well, Joel's out, maybe Paul's out, and I don't know where the scoring is coming from otherwise. So he's putting up shot after shot after shot. This is a better situation to be in, not just for him, but anybody, right? Where you don't have to go into every game thinking, oh, I got to be in savior mode. I got to do too much. And like, did he have a moment or two tonight where he drove into traffic and, did a little too much? Yes, of course he did. But I thought by and large, it was a game about trusting the offense, trusting other guys to get stuff done. And so I like that a lot. And I hope that he's able to continue to do this as they play better teams that are going to, once that ball comes out of his hands, then the reaction from him's got to be sharp, right? He's got to move. He's got to get into position because it's not always going to be as simple as just throw the ball to Joel and he rumbles down the lane for open layups and dunks.
And Derek, just your thoughts on Kelly Oubre's overall. I know we talked about him a little bit earlier, but your thoughts on Kelly Oubre, just still playing a pretty good brand of basketball as we close out this calendar year. The 7 steals at halftime. You're like, wait a minute. And just the way that he played, the defense. We continue to talk about the trio of the wings with Martin, George, and Oubre. And when we see them at their best, if they come together like this, they're going to be really, really difficult to score on.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like Kelly hasn't made a 3 in like 2 weeks, and I know he's probably made 1 or 2, but he
made
really
one
hasn't
tonight.
been shooting. No, he was 0-for-3.
Oh, that's right. His foot was on the line. His foot was on the line.
He had a Caleb Martin 3. But I think he's playing incredible basketball. Like, again, 37 minutes, 10 shot attempts, 8 steals. When you are giving that much effort defensively, when you are gambling, but also not putting your team in compromised situations, and when you are taking pretty much only good shots, this is the absolute best version of Kelly Oubre that you are going to get. And it is like, I have given him a lot of grief over the year and a half that he's been here over some of his decision making and his shot selection. And look, the perimeter shot is going to be inconsistent night to night. He's been a bad 3-point shooter for most of his career. He's probably going to be a bad 3-point shooter from here on out. But what I like about it is his decision making. Like, there's a lot of talk over, well, he shot well last year with Embiid. I'm not sure I buy that small sample size. What I do believe is that he turns into a better decision maker when he plays with Joel Embiid because he stops trying to do too much. He stops trying to create for himself, and he's willing to play that very low usage, high defensive intensity role. And tonight was maybe the prime example of that. When he is playing and he has to be like your second best player, he will drive me up a freaking wall. And I'm sure if that happens again later on in the year, I am going to lose my mind. But when he's playing alongside 3 stars or at 2 stars and Paul George's 23 minutes because he barely played because of foul trouble, he dials that back, and he's so willing to do that I am almost fully bought in on Kelly at this point. And again, it's not because I think he's magically going to become a better shooter with Embiid, because he can miss wide open threes, but he becomes a better decision maker, and I think that's huge.
Kelly, I love that he responded to what I thought was a really bad game in Utah with an excellent game tonight, right? Where the worst thing you can do as a role player is allow, the bad game like that to snowball. And it's easy to have those type of games become bad habits, become bad stretches, now your role is diminished. And great job to respond to that. We have obviously heaped a lot of praise on Kelly over the last, however many weeks, probably like a month now, right? He's been good for most of December at the very least. And something I wrote in my recap tonight that I was thinking about watching this game is it's not just that he's getting the steals in this game. It's that for, I would say, the majority of games and for a majority of the minutes within those games, he's the guy who's got to take the top assignment, right? Like, we're not watching Paul George take number 1 options all that often. And I told people that was going to be the case. I think we all knew that was going to be the case coming into the year because of what we saw in LA, where it'd be Derek Jones Jr. and it'd be other guys taking the top stuff. But so that's a tough job you're leaving to Kelly. And Kelly is managing to chase those guys around, right? Be a pretty good option as a number one option defender, and then still play attentive and impactful off-ball defense where he can be a disruptor. Like, obviously, he's not getting 8 steals every night, right? But he can get a couple. He can be a menace there, and he can help contribute to what has been a turnover-heavy defense, right? A team that forces you out of your comfort zones and gets out on the break. So I've been super pleased with him defensively basically all season outside of a game here and there like the other night. And then offensively too, like some great moves around the basket tonight where he made some good cuts and like got the ball in good spots, but he still had to make some spin moves and make some, some weird finishes around the basket. Like, good on him to help out on offense as well. Great game from Kelly.
Absolutely, man. Well, that'll pretty much do it for us tonight, man. We're already in New Year's Eve for everybody. So we definitely want to say Happy New Year to everyone out there. Be safe. Have a great time. Be safe. Watch movies. Choose chill. All that cool stuff. And, of course, watch the ball drop on New Year's for sure. So Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us all of 2024. We look forward to some much, much better basketball in 2025. Many pregame shows, many postgame shows that hopefully carry us into June with those pre and postgame shows as well. As far as our schedule goes, let everyone know and when we'll be here. We'll be here back on Wednesday, off Tuesday, back on New Year's Day, and Thursday as well. So a back-to-back for the Sixers taking on the Kings and the Golden State Warriors back-to-back. That will be the end of the West Coast portion of the trip. And they're so far 2 for 2 in the games out west. And they conclude things on Saturday in Brooklyn against the Brooklyn Nets, who they are trying to make sure that they stay away from in that Eastern Conference standings, and that will be Saturday at 6 o'clock. So some more late night basketball. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Happy New Year to everyone. Kyle, did you want to do we got a lot of people in here. So last 2024 roll call.
Of course I got to do a roll call. I also, by the way, was looking at that schedule thinking, man, I guess I'm not going out for mummers on Wednesday. I forgot about the conflict of that very Philadelphia event and the very Philadelphia event in Sacramento on Wednesday night. Guys, I'll echo what Devon said. Obviously, thank you for rocking with us, not just tonight, late night, but all 2024. Hope as always, 2025 will be bigger and better with you guys and with many more of your friends, our friends, family, acquaintances, your dog, whoever. Get people hip. Bring them into the show. We're a family around here, except for the people who come in saying, this stream's better. It's okay, buddy. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Peace out to that guy. Anyway, thank you to my wonderful people who are still here. Malk C10.
What up, Malk?
Tom Jackson. Iro. Say a Rider.
Say a Rider. What up, Say a Rider?
Or it could be Say a Rider like Isaiah Rider.
There you go. That's right.
It's a mystery. Jenna Finney, Charlie M, Mom's grandchildren still hanging out.
I don't know.
What up, Mom? Mom is still up with us. We love that.
Yes, she is.
Brian Knight, Bootzilla, my girl Winona hanging out. I think I saw Jeannie and Val earlier, and I think I saw messages that perhaps they were not making it to the end of the show.
Definitely.
So shout out to those wonderful ladies hanging out with us.
Guys, ladies.
Hey, Ron.
What up, Aaron?
Building. Our guy Al, the 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
Did I say Bootzilla yet? I'm saying Bootzilla again.
Boots again.
There are going to be some repeats tonight. It comes to the territory. Jack Reacher hanging out with us tonight.
I was watching that earlier. Jack Reacher. Great movie.
John Peace, Remo K, Louie. Not to be confused with my Louie.
Oh, look at that.
Been asleep for hours at this point. My Louie's not here, so we appreciate this Louie. The show's Louie.
That's
Communities, right. Louie.
What up, Lou?
T. Harris, not to be confused with the other T. Harris.
They're coming
Kyle
for you,
Wright,
Tobias.
SB Cole. I know I saw
SB?
Cannoli in here somewhere.
Yeah, with the super
Ja also is in here. Michael B, who left a comment. It's 1:24 our time, 6:24 his time, that he was still in here and said, I need Shady Rays for the impending sunrise. That is a great way to send off the show into 2025. Thank you, Michael B. And thank you.
Use the discount,
everyone.
Michael B. 35% off.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. If you hit the thumbs up button, maybe Derek will hit the Doc Rivers soundboard. Or maybe it'll help us in the algorithm, but it'll definitely
pick it up.
It'll definitely be a thank you to the other member of our team, and that's super producer Bree. Everybody say thank you to
what
her
up, Bree?
for putting this thing together, keeping us together, and being the person sitting in silence at almost 2 a.m, saying, what am I doing with my life, hanging out with these 3 weirdos talking Sixers. Bree, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back Wednesday night for Sixers Kings pregame. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
By the way, one last thing. Do not drive drunk. Anybody. Call an Uber. Put your keys away. Call somebody. You could probably even call me, and I'll come get you. I'll
choose chill.
I choose chill, and I choose to stay on my couch tomorrow. But I'll pick somebody.
My DMs are open. If you need Kyle's number, just DM me. I will send it to anyone.
There you go.
Be safe. Take care of each other. I'll see you in 2025.
Happy New Year, gang.
We all silly like the mayor.